was a really good movie. I can't believe I've never seen 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of similarities between this movie and that one play by Shakespeare. Do you remember what that one was called?
Yeah, I feel like we talked about it in RK's class. Wasn't it called Taming of the Shrew?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that'd be a fun play to read about, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything else to do these last few weeks at school, so I guess we could read it.
Yeah, I mean, learning about Shakespeare sounds like the best thing we could do in these last few weeks. I just can't think of anything else I'd like to do. I think we should get started.
I'm down.
All right.
The Taming of the Shrew was written by the greatest dramatist of all time, William Shakespeare. On April 23, 1564, Shakespeare was born in Stratford-upon-Avon in the United Kingdom. He attended King's New School. William Shakespeare was the son of John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. John Shakespeare was a successful merchant. William was the middle child with two older sisters, Joan and Judith, and three younger brothers, Gilbert, Richard, and Edmund. On November 28, 1582, William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway in Worcester. William was 18 years old when he married, and 8 years younger than his bride, Anne Hathaway. Their first child was born shortly after their wedding and was named Susanna. In 1585, they had twins named Hamnet and Judith. Sadly, Hamnet died at the young age of 11, and they do not know how. Over the years, Shakespeare became an actor and a playwright. By 1597, Shakespeare had 37 plays written. His writing styles vary between comical and tragic plays. His most famous works are related to his tragedy-style plays. Shakespeare's name became well known once again in the 1900s, and his plays became legendary. William Shakespeare died at age 52, ironically on his birthday in 1616. He was buried in his hometown of Stratford-upon-Avon near the town's church. In 1623, a couple of Shakespeare's previous colleagues put a collection of his plays together, and it was called the First Folio. Still today, numerous Shakespeare plays are continuing to be studied and performed. William Shakespeare's legacy left a lasting impression on our world and inspired many people to write biographies and produce films. The most famous theater to William Shakespeare's name is the Globe Theater. The original Globe Theater was built in 1598 after Shakespeare and his actors decided it was time to accumulate more money for their work. Shakespeare and his men originally performed their plays at a theater owned by a man from London. While he was away, they brainstormed ideas to make a better living for each other, and they decided to build the Globe Theater. This three-story theater could seat up to 3,000 people and had a grand stage for performing many Shakespearean plays.
Oh, that was really good. What did you think of the play?
I really liked it, but I was confused how in the beginning, Lucentio traveled all the way to Padua with his servants Tranio and Biondelio just to attend the local university, but then as soon as he saw Bianca, all thoughts of education were gone.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but I think for him it was like love at first sight, and he just realized he had to get closer to her.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that makes sense. But her dad definitely did not make that easy for them.
He did not. I'd be way less than happy if I were her. It doesn't make sense to have her sister have to marry before she can even think of a wedding.
But to be honest, when I first read the play, I thought that it was a lost cause for Bianca because there was no way that Catherine was ever going to find herself a husband that could actually handle her.
That's so true. Catherine is honestly just awful. The best way to describe her is vicious and untamable. That's why that marriage for both the Manola sisters was a lost cause.
Yeah, but to Luciento's credit, he had some pretty quick thinking when he first heard about Baptista's rule.
That's very true. It just shows some true dedication from Lucentio in order to win Baptista's heart that he just had that idea come right away.
Yeah, and the fact that Petruchio didn't even need to meet Catherine before marrying her was really surprising.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I bet she was kind of mad about that.
Yeah. Did you understand why Petruchio was being so rude to Catherine? I mean, I thought she was the shrew.
Yeah, he's just trying to prove to Baptista and his friends that he's capable of turning such a shrew into a tame and pleasing person.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but his tactics are pretty intense.
They sure are. It's crazy to see how far Petruchio will go just to turn his wife, Catherine's bitter personality around. Catherine is the eldest Manola daughter and also the more vicious and untamable of the two. No man wants anything to do with this intelligent daughter because she intimidates most men. She has a razor-sharp tongue and is not afraid to use it if she feels it is necessary. Catherine is the daughter who is in need of a husband so that Bianca is allowed to marry.
Bianca is the youngest daughter and Baptista Manola's favorite daughter. Bianca is everyone's favorite because she is nicer than her older sister Catherine. Bianca appears to be obedient, calm, chaste, and most importantly, she is quiet and she won't be one to talk back. The only thing standing in the way of Bianca's chance at marriage is the fact that her father insists that Catherine marry first, which does not look likely in the near future. Petruchio is the man who comes to town looking for a wife and decides that he will marry Catherine without even meeting her. All Petruchio cares about in his future wife is that she will be rich. Petruchio thinks of himself as a shrew tamer and believes that he will be the one who will actually be able to tame Catherine. In the end, Petruchio ends up being right and Catherine becomes tamed.
Baptista is the father of the beautiful Bianca and Catherine. Baptista is on the hunt for a husband suitable for both of his daughters. His only condition is that Catherine is to marry first before Bianca will be allowed to marry. Baptista is not picky about which man is the one to marry his girls, he just wants the highest bidders to win. Lucentio is the man who comes to Padua to gain an education, but has love at first sight when he sees Bianca. And suddenly, Lucentio only has eyes for her. Lucentio knows that he cannot marry Bianca until Catherine is married, so he devises a plan to disguise himself as Bianca's Latin teacher in hope of growing closer to her. His plan ends up as a success as he and Bianca elope. Hortensio is Petruchio's best friend who comes with him to help Petruchio find himself a wife. Hortensio ends up following Lucentio's plan and disguises himself as Bianca's music teacher. Ultimately, he does not succeed in winning the heart of Bianca.
Grumio is an older man who is a servant for Petruchio. He is the one who goes along with Catherine and Petruchio and assists them when they go to the countryside.
In the scene, we will be performing from Act 4, Scene 3 of The Taming of the Shrew.
In this scene, we will be demonstrating one of the many tactics Petruchio uses to tame his shrew of a wife, Catherine.
The more my wrong, the more his spite appears. What did he marry me to famish me? Beggars that come into my father's door upon entry have a present alms, if not elsewhere, they meet with charity. But I who never knew how to entreat, nor never needed that, I should entreat, am starved for meat, giddy for lack of sleep, with oaths kept walking and with brawling fed, and that which spites me more than all these wants, he does it under the name of perfect love. And who should say I should sleep or eat 'twere a deadly sickness, or else present death? Prithee go and get me some repast. I care not what, so it be wholesome food.
What say you to an 8's foot?
'Tis passing good. I prithee, let me have it.
No, I fear it's too choleric a meat. How say you to a fat tripe finely boiled?
I like it well. Good Grumio, fetch it me.
I cannot, for I fear it's too choleric. And what might you say to a piece of beef and mustard?
A dish that I do love to feed upon.
Aye, but the mustard is too hot a little.
Why then the beef, and let the mustard rest. Who knocks on thy door?
Petruchio, my dear.
Come in.
Faith, as cold as it can be, pluck up thy spirits, look cheerfully upon me. Here, love, thou seest how diligent I am, to dress thy meat myself and bring it to thee. I am sure, sweet Kate, this kindness merit thanks. What, not a word from you? Nay then, love, thous is not, and all my pain is sorted to no proof. Here, take away this dish.
I pray you, let it stand.
The poor service is repaid with thanks, and so shall mine before you touch the meat. Thank you, sir.
Kate, you must come at once.
Yes, Sir Petruchio.
Why, sir, I trust I may have leave to speak. And speak I will. I am no child, no babe. Your betters have endured me say my mind. And if you cannot, best you stop your ears. My tongue will let the anger of my heart, or else my heart concealing it will break. And rather than it shall, I will be free, even to the uttermost, as I please in words.
Why, true. He means to make a puppet of thee.
Be like you mean to make a puppet of me.
Well, come, my Kate. We will unto your fathers. Even in these honest, mean habiliments, our pursues shall be proud, our garments poor, for 'tis the mind that makes the body rich. What is the jay more precious than the lark? We will hence forthwith to feast and sport us at thy father's house. There we will mount and thither walk on foot. Let's see, I think 'tis now some 7 o'clock, and we may come there by dinner time.
I
I dare assure you, sir, 'tis almost 2, and 'twill be supper time ere you come there.
No, it shall be 7 ere I go to horse. Look what I speak or do think to do. You are still crossing it, sirs, let it alone. I will not go today ere I do. It shall be o'clock, I say it is.
After Act 5, Scene 3, Petruchio and Catherine make their way back to Baptista's house to check in with things there. But on the way there, the pair runs into an old man who ends up being Vincentio, who is none other than Lucentio's biological father.
Once Catherine and Petruchio learn that Vincentio is on his way to see his son, they offer to bring him to Lucentio. While all this is happening, Lucentio and Bianca have run off and eloped at St. Luke's Church.
But while Lucentio and Bianca are off getting married, they have no way of knowing that Lucentio's father has stopped by for a visit. So when Vincentio gets to Padua to find that Tranio is impersonating his son, Vincentio is left to believe that this is an imposter who has murdered his son just to steal his identity.
Luckily, before the guards start arresting people, the real Lucentio shows up. Lucentio instantly clears everything up and starts asking everyone for forgiveness, because he's just trying to get closer to Bianca.
When Lucentio has to come clean to Baptista, he isn't sure how well it is going to come across since he just robbed Baptista of giving his favorite daughter a wedding. Vincentio comes to Lucentio's defense, and he tells Baptista that this marriage is going to work out and that Lucentio is going to do right by the Minola family, especially Bianca.
After everything is sorted out, everyone heads to the wedding reception that Baptista had put together because he agreed to let Bianca marry someone, but he just didn't know it was going to be the real Lucentio in disguise. Petruchio and Hortensio make a bet at the reception about whose wife is more obedient.
Petruchio ends up winning this bet because he asks Kate to do all of these random tasks, and she does it without complaining once. Baptista is shocked because it was as if Catherine was a completely different person. It appeared that the shrew had finally been tamed.
Yeah.
The Taming of the Shrew, written by William Shakespeare, was a funny and entertaining play to read. We enjoyed the comical style play by Shakespeare more so than his tragedy style plays because the mood was much lighter and the play has a happy ending.
It was an easy plotline to follow, and we thought it was interesting how in the beginning, Bianca was a tame daughter who seemed to listen and be obedient, but in the end, roles reversed and Catherine was the most obedient of the two.
Shakespeare had a creative way of writing this comical play by his choice to disguise a few different characters to achieve his main goal of finding a husband for both of Baptista's daughters. The tough part about reading this play was the whole play being written in Old English. Some of the words were easy to translate into modern-day language, but other sentences were difficult. In comparison to the movie based off of this play, we noticed many similarities between the two. For example, the high school in the movie 10 Things I Hate About You was named Padua, like the city in the play. Also, the sisters had the same struggles to overcome in the end.
To us, we cannot imagine what it would be like if our siblings had to marry first before we could marry or date the guy of our dreams. Rules like this do not apply to us in the modern world. This play truly shows how much times have changed since Shakespeare walked this earth. The light mood in the introduction to the play, The Taming of the Shrew, gives us notice that this play will be a comedy. Two of the main characters are Petruchio and Catherine, who are a newly married couple. As for the two of them, they are equal in their social caste.
Petruchio's roughness in taming his shrew of a wife, Kate, is found to be a little psychotic. There is some irony to trying to cure Kate, while Petruchio grows only more and more crazy. Many feminist critics say that Kate was forced to marry Petruchio, but it is clear that in the play, Kate gave permission to her father Baptista to let her marry Petruchio. It is obvious that Baptista is desperate to find a man for Kate, to take Kate off his hands, so he shows excitement. The Taming of the Shrew is as much of a romantic comedy as it is a farce. The relationship between Petruchio and Kate is a sophisticated humor. The war between Petruchio and Kate begins shortly after their wedding. The tantrums that Petruchio throws always seem to put Kate in her place, whether she was being starved or deprived of sleep.
The only time that Catherine felt abandoned by Petruchio is when she felt that they were going to be late to the wedding. Petruchio crushes Kate's spirit to resist when he holds her back from their own wedding dinner. Petruchio drakes his old servant Grumio into the plan to tame Catherine. Grumio is in charge of making sure to taunt Catherine, but also making sure that she does not receive what she desires.
As it turns out, Petruchio's devoted ways to tame Catherine end up working to make her an obedient wife. The scene of Petruchio taming Kate is known as the most charming love scene in all of Shakespeare's plays.
After Petruchio's goal is achieved, it is obvious that both him and Catherine are very happily married compared to other characters in the play. Kate does a good job in advising women how to rule absolutely while feigning obedience in her speech at the end of the play.
Obedience is underrated to what the significance of what was supposed to be. The ending of this play is secretly referring to people that women have the truer sense of reality in comparison to men. Many themes related to this play are transformation, gender, marriage, society, and class.
Well, Joey, now that we're done with Shakespeare, what are we going to do in our last week of high school?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about anything after Shakespeare.
Yeah, me either. I've been looking forward to this project all year. I mean, I guess we'll just have to relax now.
Bummer.